I still remember the exact seat. Section 12, row 8, seat 14. My dad held my hand walking up the concrete steps. The stadium opened up in front of me like a dream. Green grass, bright lights, thousands of voices become one sound. That stadium doesn't exist anymore. It's gone, demolished, turned into parking or apartments or nothing at all. But these stadiums didn't just disappear. They took pieces of us with them. Today, I'm showing you 10 more American stadiums we lost. Places where kids became fans. Where cities had hearts that beat 60,000 times at once. Number 10, Polo Grounds. New York City had the Polo Grounds from 1890 until 1963. That's 73 years of baseball history in one stadium. The place looks strange, like a bathtub with a baseball field inside. The fences down the lines were crazy short, but center field stretched almost 500 feet away. The New York Giants called this home until they broke everyone's hearts and moved to San Francisco in 1957. Bobby Thompson hit the shot heard round the world here in 1951, a home run that won the pennant. Radio announcers screaming, fans going crazy. One swing that became legend. When the Giants left, the brand new Mets moved in for their first 2 seasons. Terrible team, ancient stadium. But somehow it felt right, like the city needed something to love again. By 1963, the stadium was dying, concrete crumbling, seats breaking. Everyone knew the end was coming. The Mets played their last game here on September 18, 1963. They lost. Of course they did. They tore down the Polo Grounds in 1964. 73 years of memories turned to rubble in weeks. Today, there are apartment towers where the Polo Grounds stood. Regular people living where Willie Mays made impossible catches. Where the shot heard round the world happened. Public housing where history used to live. Number 9, Comiskey Park. Chicago's South Side had Comiskey Park from 1910 to 1990. 80 years of White Sox baseball. When they tore it down, Comiskey was the oldest ballpark in the majors. 80 years of summer nights. 80 years of fathers and sons. 80 years of hope every April. Babe Ruth played here. Shoeless Joe Jackson played here before the scandal that almost destroyed baseball. The 1919 Black Sox threw the World Series here. 8 players banned forever. But Comiskey was so much more than a scandal. This was where Chicago's working families came after long factory shifts. Where they forgot about bills and bosses for a few hours. Where they just watched baseball and felt alive. Bill Veeck owned the team in the 1960s and put in an exploding scoreboard. Fireworks shut off after every White Sox home run. Kids loved it. It became Comiskey's signature. By the 1980s, the stadium felt ancient. The team wanted something modern. They built a new stadium right across the street. The White Sox played their final game at Old Comiskey on September 30th, 1990. Over 42,000 fans showed up. Some people cried. Some people ripped seats out to take home. They demolished it in 1991. 80 years gone in a few months. Now it's parking for the new stadium. You park your car where Shoeless Joe once stole bases, where 80 years of baseball happened. Just asphalt now. Number 8, Tulane Stadium. New Orleans built Tulane Stadium in 1926. For 54 years, it sat there in the Louisiana heat with 80,000 seats. This place hosted 3 Super Bowls back when the Super Bowl was new, when it meant something pure. The New Orleans Saints played here from 1967 to 1974. Not good years. The Saints were terrible, but fans came anyway because this was their team. The Sugar Bowl happened here every New Year's Day. College football's biggest stars playing in front of 80,000 screaming fans. Championships were won on this field. Hurricane Betsy slammed New Orleans in 1965. Water flooded Tulane Stadium, but the stadium survived. It stood strong while the city rebuilt. Then the Superdome opened in 1975. Modern, air-conditioned, everything Tulane Stadium wasn't. The Saints moved. Tulane University's team moved. The Sugar Bowl moved. Everyone left. The stadium sat empty for years. Weeds pushed through the concrete. Paint peeled. Graffiti covered the walls. 80,000 seats baking in the sun with nobody sitting in them. They tore it down in 1980. Today it's college dormitories and parking lots. Students walk to class stepping on ground where 3 Super Bowls happened, where the Sugar Bowl crowned champions for decades. They have no idea what used to be there. Number 7, Municipal Stadium, Kansas City. Kansas City had Municipal Stadium from 1923 to 1976. Started with 35,000 seats, grew to almost 50,000 over the years. For 53 years, this was Kansas City's sports heart. The Kansas City Athletics played baseball here until the team left for Oakland in 1967. Just packed up and abandoned the city, broke thousands of hearts. But here's what really mattered about Municipal Stadium. The Negro Leagues played here. Before baseball let black players in, the greatest players in America played at Municipal Stadium. Satchel Paige pitched here for the Kansas City Monarchs. The man who could throw a baseball past anyone. He played here when Major League Baseball wouldn't let him in. That history is sacred. Those players were heroes who never got the recognition they deserved. By the mid-1970s, both the Chiefs and Royals wanted their own new stadiums. They got them. The stadium closed in 1976. They demolished it the same year. Today, it's a community garden and some small houses. People grow vegetables where Satchel Paige threw 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, where Negro League legends played in front of thousands. It's peaceful now, but something important is missing. Number 6. Arlington Stadium. Arlington Stadium opened in 1965 as a small minor league park, just 10,000 seats, nothing special. Then the Washington Senators moved to Texas in 1972 and became the Texas Rangers. They expanded the stadium to 43,000 seats practically overnight. For 22 years, this was Texas baseball. Summer nights that felt like sitting in an oven. No roof, no air conditioning, just brutal Texas heat and baseball. Nolan Ryan pitched here. The Ryan Express, throwing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs in 100-degree weather. He threw some of his record 7 no-hitters here, but that heat was torture. Players said it felt like playing on the sun. Fans brought towels to sit on because the seats burned. Everyone was drenched in sweat by the 3rd inning. The Rangers wanted a new stadium, something with a roof, or at least some shade, something that wouldn't cook people alive. They played the final game at Arlington Stadium on October 3rd, 1993. Then built the ballpark in Arlington, right next door. They tore down Arlington Stadium in 1994. Now it's a parking lot for the newer stadium. You park where Nolan Ryan made history, where 22 years of sweaty Texas baseball happened. Just parking spaces stretching out empty. Number 5, Cardinal Stadium. Louisville, Kentucky built Cardinal Stadium in 1956 for University of Louisville football. 35,000 seats of college football passion. This wasn't fancy. This wasn't famous outside Kentucky. But for 42 years, this was Louisville Stadium. Fall Saturdays meant everything here. Students filled the stands. The marching band played fight songs. Families grilled in the parking lots before games. Everyone wore red. Johnny Unitas played here in the 1950s before he became a Baltimore Colts legend. Just a local kid playing for his hometown university. Nobody knew he'd become one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. The stadium got old. The university wanted something bigger, something modern. They built Papa John's Cardinal Stadium in 1998. Modern, bigger, better facilities. The old Cardinal Stadium came down the same year. 42 years of memories demolished in weeks. Now it's university buildings and student housing. Kids study where Johnny Unitas once threw touchdowns, where generations of Louisville fans cheered their Cardinals every fall. The students living there don't know what happened on that ground. Number 4, War Memorial Stadium, Buffalo. Buffalo, New York opened War Memorial Stadium in 1937. They called it the Rock Pile because it was built on a former rock quarry. 46,000 seats carved into stone. This was Buffalo Stadium for everything. The Buffalo Bills played here from 1960 to 1972. The Buffalo Bison's minor league baseball team played here. Even high school championships happened here. The stadium sat down in a bowl. Wind whipped through it off Lake Erie. December games were frozen nightmares. Players could barely feel their hands. Fans bundled up like they were climbing mountains. O.J. Simpson played here in the late 1960s and early 70s, before everything went wrong. Back when he was just a brilliant running back, making defenders look foolish. But the rock pile was old, even when it opened. By the 1970s, it was falling apart. The Bills wanted out. They got a new stadium in the suburbs in 1973. War Memorial sat mostly empty after that. Some concerts, some minor events, but mostly just sitting there dying slowly. They finally tore it down in 1989, 52 years after it opened. Now it's a school and a housing development. Nothing marks where the rock pile stood, where Buffalo's teams played, where the wind froze everything. Just houses and kids going to class. Number 3, Palmer Stadium. Princeton University built Palmer Stadium in 1914. 45,000 seats for Ivy League football. That's huge for a college stadium back then. This was where college football meant everything. Before the NFL was big, before television made everyone famous, Princeton football filled 45,000 seats every fall Saturday. The stadium was beautiful, classic, built like a Roman Colosseum with stone and style. People came from all over to watch Princeton play Yale or Harvard. But college football changed. The Ivy League stopped giving athletic scholarships. The big football schools moved south and west. Princeton couldn't compete anymore. The crowds got smaller. 45,000 seats for maybe 10,000 fans. The stadium felt empty and sad. They tore it down in 1997. 83 years of history gone. Princeton built a smaller stadium in 1998. Nice, but modest. Only 27,000 seats. Realistic for what they needed. Where Palmer Stadium stood is now just grass and some university buildings. 83 years of college football erased. Students walk past not knowing legends played there. Number 2, Mountaineer Field, 1924. West Virginia University built the original Mountaineer Field in 1924. 38,000 seats up in the mountains of Morgantown. For 56 years, this was West Virginia football. The Mountaineers played here every fall. The stadium shook when West Virginia scored. Coal miners and their families packed the stands wearing gold and blue. This was small-town college football at its purest. The whole state cared about these games. A win meant everything. A loss hurt for weeks. But the stadium was outdated by the 1970s. Too small for what West Virginia wanted to become. They tore it down in 1980 and built a much bigger stadium in the same spot. Same name, different place. Where the old field stood is now part of the new stadium, built right over it, like covering history with something shinier. The old Mountaineer Field exists only in photographs now, in the memories of old fans who remember when things were simpler. Number 1, Stoll Field. The University of Kentucky built Stoll Field in 1916 in Lexington. 38,000 seats for Wildcats football. For 57 years, this was Kentucky football. Not basketball, football. Back when Kentucky cared about both sports equally. Bear Bryant coached here before he became famous at Alabama. Just a young coach trying to build something special at Kentucky. He won here before he became a legend somewhere else. But Kentucky is basketball country. Always has been. Always will be. Football kept losing. The stadium kept getting emptier. By the 1970s, most seats sat empty on game days. They built Commonwealth Stadium in 1973 and moved football there. Stoll Field didn't get demolished though. They turned it into the track and field stadium, tore out most of the seats, changed everything. The football field is gone, but the space remains. It's still there, but it's not really there anymore. The soul is gone. What made it special disappeared when they stopped playing football there. Now it's just a track where football history used to live. Final thoughts. These stadiums are gone, most demolished, one transformed beyond recognition, but we can't build back the memories. What stadium lives in your heart? What place do you wish still existed? Tell me in the comments. If this touched you, hit subscribe, because forgetting is easy. Remembering takes effort.